My name is Daniel Fiverson. Welcome to the March lunar cycle forecast for March 13th to April 10th, 2021. All of the planetary energies are bounded by the lunar nodes for most of this month. Our relationship with the truth and efficacy of our beliefs, opinions, and ideas have been on the front burner since last summer. The long transit of Neptune square to the lunar nodes subsides. However, Vesta will keep those home fires burning. The need for authenticity is paramount. The goddess of the fire, sacred fire, will guard the smoldering embers all through the month. Our warrior instincts will be awakened as Mars brings intellectual fire as he sweeps by the lunar north node. Chiron informs Ceres' passage forward. We continue our search to understand the whats, wheres, and hows of our recent loss of normalcy and descent into the underworld. Soon after, the Sun and Venus confab with Chiron can bring an enlightened self-awareness to our current agenda of priorities. People and circumstances show up as mentors to assuage and heal our wounds. We can find a sense of relief this month as Mercury, which has been riding the determined and electrifying winds of Aquarius, slips into the fluid and sometimes abysmal Pisces. Stay focused on your goals and keep paddling because the great ones, Jupiter and Saturn, are still holding court in Aquarius, disrupting our emotional journey through their process of expansion and contraction. Mercury will meet up with Neptune midway through the period. Hopeful narratives can surface. In the Northern Hemisphere, the vernal equinox pushes the first growth of spring flowers up through the ground. Birdsong and the warmth and light of the sun renews our hope. In the Southern Hemisphere, the Earth's chi begins its annual retreat, withdrawing and recentering, providing the opportunity for respite and relief from the harshness of our days. Excuse me. So this is the list of aspects that we're going to look at together today. I've only selected the major ones. The other aspects that will be formed by Mercury, Venus, and Mars, I'm going to address in my dailies as the month unfolds on Facebook.com. So we have the new moon today, the day this is being broadcast, at 23 degrees of Pisces. And 2 weeks later, we're going to have a Libra full moon at 0 degrees of Libra on the 28th of March. Venus is going to conjunct Neptune and ingress Aries and square Pluto over the course of the month. And here are the dates and points at which it will make those aspects. And Mercury will ingress Pisces and then ingress Aries as well. And it will square the lunar nodes, which is probably its major event that'll occur this month, in addition to the sign ingresses. Did I leave anything out? Chiron conjunct Ceres, very interesting combination. We're going to look at all of these as unpack all of these as we go forward. And the sun remains relatively orphaned again for a second month. Orphaned meaning that it's not making aspects to many planets. It will form the vernal equinox, return to its seminal point of 0 Aries on the 20th of March, and only conjunct planet Venus at 5 degrees of Aries. But it will conjunct Centaur, Chiron, and subplanet, dwarf planet Ceres on March 29th, and then successively on April 7th. But it's just one planet and a dwarf planet and a Centaur. So it's the sun is pretty much orphaned and remote on his own. The Pisces new moon occurs as the sun and moon form a partile new phase conjunction to Pisces on 13th of March at 23 degrees of Aquarius. Our hearts are filled with the love and companionship and hope for renewal, and our heads are filled with dreams of peace and spiritual transcendence. We prioritize and make a new commitment to making our life an adventure. If we have done the work, we can feel good about ourselves for the healthy progress we've made in our lives. Our understanding of the past emerges with more contrast and ambiguity. A sense of foreboding can haunt impressions of the future. On March 13th, Venus forms a new phase conjunction with Neptune in Pisces as well at the new moon, 23 degrees of Pisces. We begin to feel more compassion for ourselves and others as the planet of conditioned love, Venus, meets up with the planet of unconditional love. A more altruistic perspective is possible about current events. Our personal truths, beliefs, and opinions dissolve and resolve into new understanding, awakening, and enabling a future that does not repeat the past. On March 13th, Chiron and Aries will form a partile new phase conjunction to Ceres at 7 degrees 56 of Aries, almost 8 degrees of Aries. At the conjunction, a grand trine is formed between Hygeia, the lunar south node, and Chiron. As vaccines become more available, the possibility surfaces that the worst of the pandemic is behind us. Our sense of loss begins to heal as a return to normalcy gradually reemerges. The dangers still persist, however, as the infections continue to spread, though at a slower rate. On the 15th of March, Mercury will enter into Neptune's sign of Pisces. A wider perspective of the world around us begins to emerge. An understanding of the seemingly disconnected, erratic events of the time we are passing through becomes possible when our vision includes seeing the bigger picture. Our actions and instinctual mode of behavior can become more rational and considered. There can be a release of judgments, allowing for more conciliatory narratives and dialogues. Artistic expression is encouraged and supported. Speak softly and carry no stick. Mercury conjoins Pallas Athena in Pisces on the 18th of March. This is a special conjunction because it brings together Mercury and its octave transformer, Pallas Athena. Intellectual octave transformer Pallas connects the lower rational mind with the higher mind, Uranus. Dreams from the night spill over into the reveries of the day. Narrow perspectives are broadened. Things that puzzled us reveal solutions. Activists increases. The creativity and ingenuity of arts and crafts populates our everyday life. Venus will enter Aries on March 21st. And asks the question, is our lifestyle responsible with collective priorities? In other words, are we responsible towards what the collective needs as well as ourselves? We can be drawn instinctively and with emotional intensity to whatever we desire in the moment, without forethought for the consequences. People and circumstances show up as challenging lessons that reward or expose us to the degree to which we have been proactive with our self-care and begin the healing process. Mercury squares the lunar nodes on March 25th, and this is a skip step, which in evolutionary astrology is a planetary condition that implies that an issue from the past correlating to the archetype of the planet involved was skipped over for any number of reasons and remains unresolved. It comes up for attention now and must be addressed. So the truth or falsehood and authenticity of what we think we know and what we believe is actively brought to our attention through direct emotional experience. We must review and reinterpret past events in order to regain our perspective and recognize the need to reimagine a future that does not repeat the past. The Libra full moon occurs on March 28th, as the moon forms a partile full phase opposition to the sun in Aries. The goddess of love and beauty connects to our life force and our primordial connection to the natural world. Venus holds up the mirror to our self-worth, encoded as the magnetic frequency by which we attract everyone and everything. Knowing what we project onto others informs us of what we need to know about ourselves. Self-responsibility is primary. We can take our power back from wherever it has gone or been taken. Excuse me. So on April 3rd, Mercury enters Aries And Mercury is also orphaned this month, forming no aspects to any luminaries or planets. Orphaned is an planetary condition where there are very few aspects to the planet. Mercury, the celestial messenger who weaves a network of multiplicity, aspects no other planets. He's informed only by asteroids, Juno, and Hygeia. And as a result, he feels uncomfortable being held incommunicado. Self-interest saturates our inner and outer narratives. Verbal and written expression comes from a place that is instinctual. Actions are driven by the ideas and personal beliefs to which we are committed. Opportunities for healing arise as we are presented with the ways that we have wounded ourselves and others. On April 9th, Mars forms a partile first quarter square to Neptune in Pisces, Mars in Gemini. So circumstances that shake up our consensus thinking present opportunities for radical new choices. Do your deepest feelings match your choice of words and actions? Are you acting from your head or your heart? Are we limited to holding on to the past or committed to creating a new kind of future? So the lunar month presents us with the promise of renewal. We become what we believe, and what we believe is driven by what we think, resulting from the backlog of our direct emotional experiences. Aquarius correlates to the energetic matrix that sets in motion the psychic seismic events that shatter the crystallized structure and form of who we have become over time. The biting winds of Aquarius will subside for a time. The lunar cycle will scrub off some of the stresses from the past and awaken us to what we need to do now and going forward. Truth and lies are the mortal and immortal twins resident in the Gemini-Sagittarius lunar nodes. The truth and falsehood and the authenticity of what we think we know and what we believe is brought to our attention with direct emotional impact. The season-long transit of Neptune over the lunar nodes has played out as deeply polarized ideological and political conflict. This month, we are drawn with deep emotional intensity to whatever we desire in the moment, sometimes without any thought given to the consequences. Verbal and written expression comes from a place that is instinctual, driven by the ideas and personal beliefs to which we are committed. It also comes from a place that luxuriates in beauty, love, and diversity. Narratives can echo the past or be anchored in visions and imaginings of the future. The need for authenticity is paramount as we continue our search to understand the whats, wheres, and hows of our recent loss of normalcy and descent into the personal underworld. Enlightened self-awareness awaits in the aftermath. Truth and belief dissolve in the alchemy of conscious awareness. We feel a sense of relief. Hopeful narratives will resurface. People and circumstances show up to assuage and heal our wounds. Some days might feel like an abyss as things seem to expand and then contract. So stay focused on your goals and keep paddling. We can begin by committing to making life an adventure. So starting this month, I'm offering PDF versions of this talk, PDF of all the slides that you can have as a monthly reference or daily reference, excuse me. So if you would like a copy, just email me at Daniel@4 evolutionaryastrology.com, and I'd be glad to send it out to you. I also want to point out that I have written a forecast for this entire year. I know that by March and April, we stop buying calendars, but I don't think we should be stop buying astrological forecasts at any point this year. The events of 2020 and 2021 are only the prelude to what's going to occur as this decade unfolds. If we want to understand the future, we have to understand the past and the present. This forecast explains why the outer planets have been responsible for what has happened and what's been released in the world. And it's presented in narratives that tell the whole story through the mythology and historical timelines. And it also reveals, most importantly, the opportunities and remedies for which we are continuing to pass through. You can reach me at my website, the number 4 evolutionaryastrology.com. I do astrological weather reports there, and on Facebook, on the Friends of Jeffrey Wolf Green site. occasionally, and on my own website every day, and on my own Facebook pages every day that I produce a daily forecast. And you can reach me at Daniel at the number 4 evolutionaryastrology.com. I thank you all so much, so much for being here. Be safe, be careful, be well, be kind. Thank you all so much. Namaste.